Hi, I'm Tim, welcome to Govberg, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the F.P Journe Octa Divine 36mm in platinum. You can see this discontinued F.P Journe complication and purchase it on our website, govbergwatches.com. Please subscribe to our channel if you enjoy these videos, and if you want even more news, views, reviews, and multimedia of luxury watches, please download our app, Govberg On Time. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that this is a unique piece in F.P Journe's catalog, because while traditionally his watches have been available in 38mm or 40, the Octa Divine was one of the few, perhaps the only, offered in a choice of 36mm or 40. And what you see right here is the rare brass movement 36mm Octa Divine. Now you can see that the watch has incredible presence. First and foremost, very easy to wear underneath a dress cuff or a tight sleeve. 10.5mm thick with a beautifully sloped domed bezel. You will have no trouble fitting it under even the tightest dress cuff. But 36mm across the round of the case understates the presence and character of this watch. I like to say that a watch has three fundamental defining features. Externally, there's the bezel, the case, and of course the lugs. Now on an oversized reference, the lugs get shaved down. They give up ground to the case size because frankly, a huge case and huge lugs simply doesn't fit most wrists. But on a traditionally sized men's dress watch, the lugs can be broad and flowing. They can have character and body, and so they do here. That third part of the tripartite watch character is present in force. Now you can see they have gorgeous tumble home. They sort of slope off to the sides in addition to curving down strongly around the thrusting curve of the wrist, so they have a lot of character and they give this watch a loft and an arc to it that would be lost if it were larger. Now the nice thing about platinum is you always know when you're wearing it. It is 60% more massive than gold, so you're not going to confuse it with anything else, not palladium, not tantalum, not gold itself. Eyes closed, you know this is platinum, even in 36mm. Now it does feature one beautiful aesthetic decision that can only be made on a watch of 36mm, and that's to have conforming spring bars, which is to say, unlike most Journe references, the strap truly is pinned against the flanks of the case, so it does flare out a little bit. It does have some virtual span. It can't pull straight down, but because this is a 36mm watch, that's okay. The good proportions and the strong downward thrust of the lugs means you can still wear it on a wrist as small as 13 centimeters in circumference with no fit complications. Now, F.P Journe pairs his watches with platinum buckles and clasps, and that is true to this day. If you get a platinum case, you get a platinum buckle or clasp. Many watchmakers, which shall remain anonymous, incriminate themselves, I say, will give you a white gold buckle with a platinum case today. Not so Journe then, not so Journe today. The dial is very characteristic of F.P Journe. Inboard of that domed style bezel, you can see all the elements that have made Journe's name today. There's a separate stepped element that provides the railroad style minute track and the Arabic style hours, and fixed in place by visible screws on the dial. This is something F.P Journe pioneered, to his peril, many critics claimed, but it's been copied by everyone because when done well, as F.P Journe does it, and did it first, it's an incredible impact, effectively bringing the excitement of movement assembly to the dial itself, reminding us that this is a machine from the inside aching to come out. Now you can also see the silver dial base shows the judicious use of a step down for both the double-digit date as well as the moon phase. It's not a sheer cut down from the silver dial. It's got a little bit of a slope, a gradient to it, that provides a relief from the sheer cut that would otherwise be provided. So there's a visual transition into the moon phase and the double-digit date. Now the moon phase is an exceptional piece. It's actually decorated sapphire, so rather than simply being the often painted or anodized brass disc that other manufacturers use, it's actually metallicized and lacquered sapphire, so a beautiful choice. Arguably a work of micro-artistry in its own right within the whole. Now it does feature a 120-hour power reserve, and you can see the scale traced by Journe's signature biomorphic hands. You could see a watchmaker with only these hands on his bench, preparing to service a watch and know exactly what he's working on. So distinctive are these hands, so redolent are they of F.P Journe's manufacture. And even the subseconds, with its quirky loop-style counterweight, spins within its own miniature railroad-style seconds track, itself contained by the applique that forms the minutes and the hours of the dial. Everything's unified, even if at first they come across as independent parts. The design logic is very coherent. Now, turning the case over, you can see the caliber 13.3. This is part of the Octa family that F.P Journe launched in 2001 to 2002. The rollout actually continued, and this particular reference, the Octa Divine, debuted fairly late in 2003. Now, in 2004, Journe began building his movements in 18-karat rose gold. Somewhat counterintuitively, the far less common earlier brass movements with the rhodium plate you see here became the collector's favorite precisely because they are more traditional to Swiss watchmaking, and frankly, they're just less common, as so few of these were built. So with a production window between 2003 and early 2004, and the less common 36mm case, this is an exceptional collector's piece. Effectively, one you will never see, never encounter, even in F.P Journe themed watch dinners. This is a true connoisseur's piece, and again, if you're likely to have the only one even amongst F.P Journe collectors, you know you're looking at a surefire future investment piece. I don't make that declaration often, but this is the only one I've ever seen. I'm not counting on seeing a second. But all of the elements of the movement are up to F.P Journe's modern-day standards. With a free-sprung balance, it has a very large moment of inertia. It also has a laser-welded hairspring at the collet for stability, with a traditional polished Geneva-style twin-screw stud cap. Now, Journe does label this 36-jewel movement a chronometer. While he does not submit his watches to the COSC, he rather has his own in-house standards and adjusts these watches religiously to achieve better than the ISO 3159 standard that governs the COSC. This was also Journe's first automatic series of calibers, and you can see, if you look carefully, the automatic rotor is slightly off-center, slightly smaller than the entirety of the caseback. Just another Journe quirk, albeit one that nevertheless has an underlying functional logic. A unidirectional winder, it is far more efficient in winding the mainspring barrels than a single, or rather than a bidirectional winding rotor. So small innovations hidden cleverly, the laser welding, the unidirectional winding, the in-house chronometric standard. Nevertheless, traditional elements, circular Côte de Genève, rose lathe guilloche across the winding rotor, and a tight, even, and wonderfully visible perlage pattern across the base plate. You can see this 36mm F.P Journe Octa Divine brass movement era F.P Journe on our website, govbergwatches.com.